ABC News, this is Good Morning America. Now from Times Square in New York, weekend anchors Bill Weir and Kate Snow.
And Girl Power, how a group of inner-city kids learned to play rugby and at the same time learned a lot about themselves. Also, summer means the middle of the baseball season, but in some of the world it is also rugby time. And Marisol knows a thing or two about rugby, so we sent her up to Harlem, and she met a group of girls from some of New York City's toughest neighborhoods who are really getting into this somewhat violent game, but learning some life lessons along the way. She's got that story coming up. And coming up on Good Morning America, Girl Power, how a group of young girls are taking on a rough and tumble sport, and in the process, learning a little bit about life.
Give blood, play rugby.
Exactly.
Such is the slogan of a sport known for toughness on the field and in the pub afterwards, but you found a different kind of roster in this sport.
I absolutely did, and I found it in the concrete jungle of all places. These athletes, some of them playing a sport for the very first time, never mind playing rugby for the very first time, they're all girls. And on this field, they're finding hope and purpose, not only as ruggers, but as young women striving for success in their personal lives as well.
When you think of rugby, if you think of rugby, chances are you think of this. There are 15 players to a side, filling positions with names like hooker and scrum half. Oh, and none of them wear pads. You can kick the ball forward and you can throw the ball with your hands. Just make sure you throw it backwards. The goal? Get a hold of that ball, tear past anyone in your way, and touch it down in the goal area. It's called a try, and it's worth 5 points. Overseas, rugby is religion, a brutal sport even princes play to look tough. But far away from royal lawns, across the pond to the concrete jungle of East Harlem in New York City, there's a group playing rugby, and they're far from royalty. Just a bunch of high school kids, and they're all girls. 17-year-old Amber Medina from the Bronx is one of them.
Well, look at me, you know. I live in the Bronx. I have 99 average. I play rugby. It's not really, you know, it doesn't really fit together, but it's me, you know what I'm saying? Don't let her take it.
Amber and her teammates were inspired by their history teacher, Lisa Lake, also a rugger.
I was a sophomore in high school. I'm a senior now. And my global teacher, Miss Lake, she used to come in with like bruises on her eyes, and we used to think, what's wrong with her? Like, she gets beat every week. And then she told us about rugby.
For Amber and the other girls on the team, the sport is empowering.
Amber Medina is amazing. This kid comes to school every day despite all these things that get in her way. She came to us as a non-athlete, and because she's so smart and works so hard, she's a starting hooker for our team and is a great rugby player. She's got everything.
For their first game, the girls barely knew the rules, but they eventually got it and learned more than just rucking and mauling. They were given a place to encourage one another and take pride in themselves.
I matured so much, like, I've become a different person to myself.
On the field, Amber is fiercely determined, focused. She enjoys the camaraderie of her teammates, who have become her second family. At home, a different type of camaraderie.
Hi, Grandma.
The youngest of 3 siblings, in many ways, Amber is a symbol of hope for her family. They take great pride in seeing her become a strong, independent woman, both on the field and off.
I didn't want her to play rugby.
Did you know what rugby was?
Yes.
And what did you say?
It's a rough sport. Like, it's a manly sport, and she doesn't look like the type to be able to play rugby. You know, she's 4'11", her nickname is Midget.
Ball. Back on the field for practice, Amber lets an old rugger join in on some drills.
Got it. Phew! So tough, Coach!
But when Saturday rolls around, it's game time. Amber and her teammates know losing is not an option, not when it comes to rugby.
Unbelievable.
Are there enough teams to make up a league?
Shockingly, there are. There's a team in Long Island. There are a couple of teams out in Long Island. But I should also mention, they also have a boys' team that also plays. But you rarely hear about young girls playing rugby. And they are so warm, so charming. And when I ask them, is it tougher living in the mean streets or playing rugby? And, you know, they say, Well, we just love tackling, but we'd never tackle someone randomly on the street. So
Well, that's comforting.
That's a comforting thought. If you want to find out more about this rugby team, you can log on to abcnews.com.
Great piece.
Thank you.
Thanks, Marty.